All right. Hey, this is called Your Story, and we're so excited to have Shaun and Julie with us. Why don't we give them a little clap while, let them know that they're loved. Absolutely. At home, you can press the like button. Just keep pressing the like button through the whole thing. They're doing an awesome job, and I'm glad they're here with me today doing this. Your Story is really just an opportunity for us to hear from other people in our New Heart community, and for us to share with them for them to share with us rather, what's really on their heart, what God's been doing, what God has done in the past, and what God's going to do into the future. And I'm so pumped to kick off this series with you guys. We're going to talk about the history of you guys and how long you've been coming here and all that kind of stuff soon. But I'm just so glad. Why don't we do a quick mic test and just go, how are you guys? You guys can quickly say hello, go and say hi, everyone.
How you going?
Yo.
Yeah, there's a good yo. Your story, it's going to go for the next few weeks. We're going to have quite a few people up here. I'm not going to share who it is next week. I'm going to leave that for midweek stuff. But I really think God's going to do a lot through this series, and He's going to do a lot during this time. I also just want to take time just to thank Sienna for sharing again this morning. She did a great job for us. The thing I just want to quickly say is that we are still $5,000. You guys can do a high five. $5,000 off. $5,000. $5,000 off our target of $40,000. We need to hit that, and then we'll be sorted for the next kind of year here in this building. So $5,000, we can do that. We can absolutely do that, and we know that God's going to provide that. So if you are able to pledge, I'm sure there's a link right now in the comment section for you to do that. Remember, the pledges are just that. They're pledges. It's saying that this is what we're going to give. And then when it gets to the appropriate time, an email will be sent around where we start calling in those pledges and saying, hey, it's now time to make good on what we said. So you guys excited about the building pledge?
Yeah, it's good.
It's pumping. It's great. I'm excited to see how God serves. So I just wanted to share a bit of scripture, and then I'm going to let you guys do predominantly of the talking. I think this is good today. 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. It says, "Because we loved you so much, we were delighted to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well." And I love that passage. I use that passage all through youth ministry and even through church ministry, that it's not just about us constantly telling you, you got to read your Bible, you got to say your prayers, and you've got to accept Jesus into your lives. It's actually us sharing our lives with people and showing them how Jesus transformed that. And I think that perfectly sums up what we want to do with Your Story. It's sharing what God has laid on our hearts, it's sharing what God is doing, and it's sharing what God is going to do. So with that said, let's get started. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is, I'm going to ask you guys, first of all, who are you, okay? And what do you do? A little bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Who is your daddy and what does he do, all right? We're going to ask that now. So who are you guys, and what do you do outside of New Heart? What do you do outside of New Heart?
Well, I'm Shauno.
Shauno. Hey, Shauno.
I'm a sheet metal worker. I work in air conditioning for a small business out at Silverwater. And in my spare time, I've been watching a bit of Big Bang Theory lately. So.
Big Bang Theory? Yeah. Nice. Very good. And I don't want to say your name because you're about to say your name. So.
It's all right. My name's Julie Monica Wise, or Jules.
Jules.
Or Moni.
Moni.
And I work I'm a full-time medical receptionist in a specialist clinic just over in Park Central, Campbelltown represent. And in my spare time, for those that don't really know me, I'm a little bit of a fan of Friends. So I've been watching that a bit, and also Big Bang Theory as well, I guess.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
Good job. Well, we welcome you guys to the stage this morning. When did you guys, now this one might be a bit of a backward question, you got to think back a fair bit. When did you guys first start coming to New Heart?
Well, it's been a long time. It was before it was called New Heart, but I think maybe somewhere between 2000, 2002.
2000, 2002. Wow. That's 18 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
20.
Very long
If you
time.
if you hit on the 2000 mark, that's 20 years ago, just to make you feel old right now. Julie, what about you?
Well, actually, this month, 2004.
Wow.
This month.
You are very precise.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what's happening.
It's funny how my mind works. That the fact that I don't remember what I did last weekend, but I can remember things back way back when. So yeah.
But you remember the time you came to New Heart.
Yeah, yeah.
So 2004, so like 16 years ago.
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I was,
That
yeah,
is
I was
insane.
13 years old. So yeah.
So share with us, what was it like? Because practically you guys grew up. I mean, Shaun, I know you went through like the kids program and all that kind of stuff here, on and off maybe, but predominantly you guys went through youth group. Share with us, what was it like growing up in New Heart a little bit?
Well, it was always very community driven. That's what I loved about it. Yeah, just coming somewhere where you belonged.
Yeah, that's good. Do you, Julie, do you remember what it felt like growing up a bit? I mean, you were a bit older when you came in, but, you know.
Yeah, it was good. Like it felt good to be part of something so, because I went to church, but like when I was like younger, like 9, 10 years old, but I didn't really understand it. And I remember I was going through a time where I wanted to be a part of church again, because I stopped going like with my mum and her friend when I was about 10. And so when I came along to a youth night, like first of all, and then I went to church a few weeks after that. So I got connected into youth first, and then I started coming to church, and it felt, it was nice to be a part of something so that it just felt like, I'm like, wow, this feels like it's like got a good like family vibe. It's not just a place where I'm going to because I feel like I have to, because that's what I felt going to church when I was like 9 or 10. I felt like it was more I had to, but when I was pursuing that, when I was after it, I felt like it's something that I personally was after, and it just felt like somewhere I felt like I really needed to be. And just find people like outside of the school realm to find connections with.
Yeah, that's cool. So I mean, practically, like we said before, you guys grew up, but definitely through the teenage years, right? So share with us what were some of like the highs, like when you think teenage years at New Heart Church, what instantly comes to mind? What's the first thing?
Well, that's easy. That's youth camps for us. Yeah.
Youth camps?
Yeah.
Is that the same for you, Julie?
Yep, definitely.
All right, so give us one. I know there's heaps of stories, but give us one high, like not when you got high. Give us one like highlight from a youth camp that you guys just remember quite specifically.
Well, my first youth camp, actually, 2005, when I decided to commit my life to Jesus, and it was just a very surreal moment, because I'm like, this is something that I really feel strongly about. I'm deciding it on my own terms, and I really felt encouraged and led, and so that was one of the mains. But overall, in general, that just really like connecting in smaller groups, getting to know more and more about God. Gradually, and
What year do you know what year that was when you made that decision?
I was so I was 14, so I was year 8.
Okay.
Yeah, I was year 8.
Yeah, I've probably got that written in a journal actually, that year. I'm trying to work out in my mind. I'm trying to like flip through my journals like in my head, but I would have that written
year
down.
8, year 9, year 8.
Yeah. So what year was that? What year was that? 2000.
2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say 2004. I thought maybe it was your first, but no, that's cool. Shaun, do you any highlights? See, like, Julie went the spiritual road now, so if you go for, like, the funny story, you're not going to look as spiritual. I'm just wanting to... No, I'm just kidding.
You guys want to laugh? Or? Yeah, I'll give you guys a laugh, and I'll give you a better experience. There always seemed to be one kid who would get real sick at camp, and I won't name names, but
I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about, and I'm going to name the name. Is it
Okay.
Jared?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I remember Jared.
And yeah, like, there was always plenty of food at camps, and always plenty of snacks and stuff. And you know, we were down at the cabins one night, and yeah, Jared wasn't looking too well. And yeah, I think it was Andy asking Jared, "Oh, you all right, man?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." And then 2 seconds later, he's just barfing everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was, as much as it sucks to be sick, it was hilarious to watch.
I think I was running that camp, and I delegated people to clean that up. I'm like, I got to go check the schedule or something. I don't know, I don't think I cleaned it up. I think we got the cooks to go down and clean it up. I kind of felt like you gave it to him, so you should clean it up. But that's cool. Yeah, sorry, and you had another one?
Yeah, the other one, like the worship sessions that we had at camp. Yeah, just how lively and full of energy they were, and you know, all of us kids getting up on the chairs and jumping around, and you know, being extra safe and everything. Yeah.
Do you know what your like favorite song was at that time? Do you have one, Julie? In the chamber?
It's funny when you're put on the spot like that and you forget every single song we've ever done.
Ever been written, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah,
Well,
I'm feeling a bit unspiritual at the moment. Like,
I've got one for me back then. It was when your brother Josh was still around and singing. And for me, like, In Your Freedom really...
In Your Freedom?
Yeah.
Yes,
That really
yeah.
got stuck in my heart.
Hillsong, yeah?
yeah, now I remember.
Well, everything was Hillsong back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, In Your Freedom. All right, that's good. That's good. Share with us like some of the tensions and maybe even some of like, I don't want to say lows because they're not maybe naturally lows, but just some of the pressures of like growing up as a teen, but then also growing up as a teen in church.
Well, I remember really struggling in high school, like struggling to adjust. I remember like even year 6, that pressure of, because it's that preparation into going into high school, and it's like it's all becoming real, and for all the Disney fans out there, it's like a whole new world. And so I remember going into year 7, and just new things, like going to primary school. It was just same classroom the whole year. In high school, you had to walk around different classrooms. Where's my class? Looking at the timetable. Someone help me with the timetable. So it was just overwhelming from the get-go, and also trying to find your like as you progress through high school, like discovering new things, like finding out new things, the workload, trying to find your place in school, and in the world in general, trying to fit in. And I felt like I had to be different around different people, like around a certain group of people I had to be one way, another group of people another way. I felt like I was like chopping and changing myself around, like, for different people. And then another thing, being a teenager, just the self-esteem issues really start to take more place in your life. And I found myself looking at other girls, for instance. I'm like, okay, maybe if I start putting on makeup, like, I'm only 13, but maybe I think I need to start putting on makeup. Maybe I might feel better about myself. So I'm like, I'm only 13. Should I be wearing makeup? And like all those sort of things. So a lot of things happening at once. So, and it's funny, like struggling in primary school, for instance, like towards the back end of primary school with comments about, you know, like, oh, you look, you know, like you look funny and that, you know, just certain comments. But then high school, stuff that would come out of people's mouths was just like, I'd take primary school back in a heartbeat compared to what the stuff that was coming out of people's mouths in high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just high school was a really like, and group dynamics kept changing as well.
Yeah.
One moment we were down at the Silver Seeds, next moment we were up under the shelter, next moment we were like the science building. So it was just, it was a very,
So that sense of like not really knowing who you are. And trying to process that, because that's the period that you are trying to process all those things. Who am I? Where do I fit in the world? That's awesome. Shauna, do you have anything to add on to that? Are you cool with what Julie said? Do you agree? You didn't go to school much, really, did you?
No, I think I went maybe 3 times in 6 years.
The amount of times I used to get phone calls. I don't know whether I should be sharing this online, but you know, people just being like, Shaun's not at school again. I'm like, all right, I know where he is. Drive off. Sorry. Okay, yeah. What were you going to add?
Well, for me, like, school wasn't my thing. I absolutely hated school. Didn't fit in, but there was always that pressure of, oh no, like you need to work hard, and you know, you need a career. You need to know what you're doing before you leave.
Yeah.
And I just never had that feeling.
Yeah. School wasn't your thing. I think you're the second person that said that to me this week. School just wasn't their thing. Like they just weren't good at it. Not good at it, but they just didn't mold into it like everyone else did, you know what I mean? Like they just didn't grab a hold of it. And yet, one thing we didn't mention earlier is that you guys are obviously married to one another, right? And there might be some people that are watching that are like, oh, like they're sitting very close. They're allowed to sit covidly close because they're married. They came in the same car. So like you guys have really like had a whole journey together, really, because you were both at youth group at practically like same time. And then we hit young adults, and then we hit marriage and stuff like that. I just think it's really, really awesome that your whole, like there's a journey all through this that parallels with your journey in church. And I think that's awesome to see and really encouraging to see. And I just want to like touch in a little bit more on what you guys have been saying. So the feelings of not knowing who you are and everything's kind of messy, and also the feelings, like, because that's really a fitting in issue. The fact that I don't really like school, I hate being here. Everyone else seems to enjoy it or bear it, but I don't want to be there. You know, that's a fitting in issue as well. Why aren't I like them? Why aren't I like this? Just share with me why was youth group so important to you guys? Because we've had these conversations privately without lots of people watching. You know, we've had these conversations, and I know the answers to this, but I'd love for you guys just to share with everyone, why was youth group in particular, why was that age bracket important?
I feel that it was important because, so the struggles I was going through at school, we all have a point like in our teenage years where we crave for somewhere we belong and we can be ourselves without having to change anything about ourselves. So youth on a Friday night became it was like a sanctuary to me where I could just unwind, let loose after a long, hard week of rules and scheduling and going from class to class and being bombarded with novels and textbooks and reading, and I'm not a reader, and all these sort of things that I'm not really into, that I'm like forced to get into, and more like speeches and all that sort of stuff that wasn't really like into. I'm like, why, like, what am I signed up for? Youth was and having to change myself around different people. But youth, I didn't have to worry about trying to impress anybody. I just was able to just be silly and be crazy and just feel like I could express myself in the way that I wanted to, and just be enthusiastic and feel like I don't have anyone like looking at me and judging me or for my looks or anything else. And I was just able to be free to express myself, and and I felt that I was able to connect with people much easier, and it was a place that I was able to really dive in and just feel just feel relaxed and at home, and just try to forget the week that I just had. So I always, like, by the time, for instance, I got to Wednesday, started getting excited about Friday, and that pushed me along the rest of the week. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I always looked forward to, especially getting my own personal flyer and getting excited about, this is happening this Friday, and so.
That's cool. That's cool. Shaun, same question. How important was youth in the middle of all that kind of messy stage?
Yeah, well, combination of me and my hatred for school and not having a great home life. It was just great to be able to have somewhere to go, which was a healthy environment, very warm and welcoming and loving place to go, and just feeling like, okay, this is home for me. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, and I love the phrase, like, this is home for me. So what was it about leadership, like, in particular? Like, what was it about the leadership? What was it about the Friday night program? Not the program so much, because I think was pretty much generic, same as everything else. But what do you draw out of that you say, this is what changed everything for me? And maybe even still impacts your life now. What was it about home that stuck with you the most?
So for me, it was always knowing that the leaders were going to be there every week, and just knowing that I could contact them, or I'd hear from them regularly throughout the week, and it was like it was an ongoing life investment.
Yeah. Yep. That's cool.
Yeah, same sort of thing actually. Like seeing the commitment from the leaders, and knowing that I was coming every Friday night, like knowing that I was going to see the same people that are continuously encouraging me, and they're not just my leaders, but they became people that would pick me up from home to go to youth and drive me from youth back home. So some of the some great memories actually involved not only just being at youth, doing the programs, like getting involved in the program through the night, but some of the best memories would be getting picked up from home to go to youth and then back home, really great encouraging conversations and getting excited for Sunday, and so just feeling really encouraged, and just really really me up well for the weekends. And
what elements, I mean, this is not one of the questions we sort of had prepped you guys with, but what specifically, even just observations of those that led at that time, of those of the programs, of the gathering, how has that impacted your faith now? Like, is there stuff that you still sort of look on and go, hey, that affected me spiritually, not just gave me a place to go, but it's caused something in me? Does that question make sense? Get back to me. So, one theme I was hearing was they were always there. The leaders were always there. So for me, the one thing I would say about the both of you is that I know that you guys are always going to be there. Like, if you say you're going to be there, you're going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, Shauno's never late. He's always 15 minutes early to anything, right? Even if it starts at 5 o'clock and you said come at 5 o'clock, he'll still be there at 4:45, right? I feel like there's something spiritual in that, though, as well. I feel like there was something drawn out of that time of observing leaders and going, okay, so, stability and dependability and not being moved. I feel like that's added to your faith a bit, that ability of saying, well, I'm committed, this faith takes commitment, stuff like that. Anyway, I know it wasn't one of your questions, but you want to add on to any of that? We should have a pass button.
No, it was just a big standing point was just that firm ground, the foundation that was youth, and with the leaders, just assistance and knowing that I wanted to be that way as well.
Yeah.
I wanted to be grounded, and do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah. So it's so important for us to have leaders that set the example for the next generation. It's like what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago in the terms of that. Like, we will tell the next generation the good deeds. We'll tell them of what God's done. But we don't need to, it's not just about telling them, it's about showing them as well. And it's about exemplifying that. And I just wanted to encourage you guys in front of everyone here and everyone watching back at home, that you guys now I believe you're encouraging the next generation just by your presence and your trust of God. So I reckon that's awesome. So this whole idea of pouring, leaders pouring into you guys, right? So how has that pouring into your life affected your leadership now? It's kind of like a similar question that I kind of just asked in a roundabout way, but when you think back to the leaders that poured into you, and it's not even just at youth, there's other levels too now, in New Heart, but when you think of leadership that's poured into you, how has that affected you guys in your life now? Like, you kind of already answered that a little bit, Shaun, but how did that affect you guys?
When I remember back to being poured into, I remember just going through some really just some hard times at school, and also temptations came. Like, for instance, hearing about people going to, in particular, 15, 16, starting to go to parties, and and then I felt when I'd hear about the parties on Monday, I feel should I be, I feel odd one out, I'm not going to these parties, and then when I'd hear, and then, for instance, the after youth devotion, for instance, would be applicable to how I'm feeling that week, for instance. It was some really good, hard truths sort of thing, but laced with grace. I've heard that phrase lately, laced with grace.
Nice.
So hard truths laced with grace, and that would just really encourage me all over again, and just get my mind back to the fact that I don't, I felt like a common sort of theme on Friday nights, devotions in particular, was standing out. You don't have to, you don't have to be like everyone else around you at school.
Yeah.
Especially if you feel that the way they're acting is not the best way. What good is it going to be of you being the same way? But at the same time, there was that battle again of, but I'm here 5 days a week. That struggle of needing to be fitting in, but at the same time keeping in mind of what really matters is trying to represent God, and take what I've learned on Friday night devotion and church on Sunday, bringing it into school life. But it was hard, but sometimes I was able to, sometimes I slipped up, but I just just the enthusiasm of the leaders as well. They really driven and passionate about being there on Friday nights, and wanting, it didn't look like a chore. It didn't look like, just filling in time. They looked genuinely interested in us flourishing and knowing more, and trying to be, better versions of ourselves. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So it's cool because we're sort of launching something while we're telling a bit of your story as well. And I guess I wanted to give you guys an opportunity just to share what's happening up in the future here. Shaun, I'll ask you. So what is now your guys' role here at New Heart Church?
So me and Julie are going to be taking over transit.
Yoo-hoo! Yeah. Ow! Yes! That was I don't know what that was. It was something. That's cool. You guys are taking over Transit. And Transit is what is it? Transit's our youth program.
Yeah, Transit's our youth program for years 5 to 10. So.
Yep, year 5 to 10s. Let's throw it out there for everyone, just straight up. What date are we kicking off Transit again here?
Yeah, so we're kicking off Transit on the 4th of September, and we're starting at 7, and we'll wrap that up at 9 o'clock. Yeah.
My excitement kicked back. Yep, so 4th of September, and you guys are now officially our Transit leaders, which is, I'm really excited. The reason why I'm excited is because you guys are genuinely passionate about youth, and you're genuinely passionate about people connecting with God in a way that you connected with God. And so, we've already started talks of like potential camps into the future and things like that, and getting these things sort of running again. I'm delighted, like overjoyed that you guys are doing this and being a part of it. Can you guys share with me though, is there any kind of scripture or like story that just sticks with you that you learnt in your teenager kind of years that you still sort of hang on to today?
Yeah, well, for the both of us, it's just a small passage from 1 Timothy when Paul's writing to Timothy. He's just heading up a small church, and he says, don't let people look down on you because you're young.
Yeah.
Let the elders and everyone have prayed over you, etc., etc. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
I'm
no, it's good
with
paraphrase.
memory verses. Yeah. So
Yeah, so
that's
don't
a big
let
one for us.
Yeah, don't let people look down on you because you are young.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Julie, did you have something to add?
Yeah, one thing for me that I really love referring back to that I've referred to back quite regularly through my teenage years to like help me like get my mind back on track was Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future.
Yep.
So yeah, that got me through some really hard times through high school, like, the pressures of if you don't know what you want to do by now, then there's a problem. And I'm like, I'm only 16, 17. Like, not everyone's going to know, but I felt like everyone around me knew, and I just felt out of place because I have no idea, and it's no different to like 10 years later that I still kind of don't know. But in the end, it brings me like joy that I don't have to worry because like God will work through me in that instance, and I don't have to feel like I have to figure out on my own, but God will guide me through where He will, to fulfill His purpose through me. So
that's good. And I think like just as much as Shaun said, it's kind of like the verse both of us hang on this whole let anyone look down on you because you're young. That verse from Jeremiah 29:11 applies to both of you, because the story that Shaun knows God of, maybe growing up in circumstances that weren't to your liking and having those things from a very young age. I know that I did, and a whole lot of people at New Heart knew that God had His hand on your life and that you were going to do some pretty amazing things, and Julie as well, because I remember Amy coming home and talking about, Julie and how into the Bible Julie is and stuff like that. And I think it's awesome and such a great example to our next generation that there are people who are young adults still, you're not old, and, young marrieds who are interested in them. Because I think the one theme that we've talked about today is that through school, through home life, through your friends, all teenagers are just hoping that someone's interested in them. And then when you came to Friday nights, it felt like home, because that's how home should have felt like. It should feel like people are interested in me. And they were genuinely concerned, and they were genuinely wanting to see us get better. And I reckon that's great that you guys have drawn that out today and shared that. And the exciting thing for me is that not only do you guys recognize that in your story, but now you're going to help other teenagers feel that story. And that's what's so important. That's why this series is important, your story, because your story affects someone else's story. Your story impacts the next generation. And so I'm just really, really proud of you guys and proud of who you've become and proud to share the platform with you guys today and to hear what God has on your heart. So one thing that we need to hit is, tell me what the vision is of Transit.
So we want our youth to love like Jesus.
Love like Jesus?
Yeah, so
Sounds good.
yeah, sounds familiar.
Sounds good. And the key is what I want to hear is the mission. What's the mission you guys are putting forward with Transit?
Yeah, so we want to make disciples of the next generation.
We want to make disciples of the next generation. That's awesome, man. So Transit is here to love like Jesus and making disciples of the next generation.
Yeah, like we've really, we've been talking about it lately. We're reflecting on our past experience with previous leadership, and we look back and we kind of, in a way, kick ourselves for not, if we knew what we're like, if we knew what we know now, sort of thing. If we had that mindset we have now. Things may have been turned out differently, but at least now going into this new season, we have a more clearer mindset and a clearer vision of what we'd like to achieve through this ministry. It's not just a Friday night, let's come hang out and just fill some time, but it's with a clearer purpose for wanting these youth to know that they have a purpose in God, and they may not know it yet, but God has a plan and purpose for their life, and kind of that's through youth that's when I discovered that God has a plan and purpose for my life, because that's through Friday night devotions, being and being told that and knowing that I don't have to worry about my place in this world, because God has the ultimate plan, and
That's so good. Yeah. That's really good, Julie. That's a great wrap up, to be honest. That's perfect. My final thing would be, because you guys are starting this new journey and you're starting this new leadership, and you're reading books and you're gathering information so that it translates into transformation, is why we get information. What can the church be praying for, or what can the church do? So what can the church, it might be just the fact that you guys want people that are watching, online or here with us today, this is what we want you to pray for us as we get started on September 4th.
One of the things, just to pray for us to not, I just get, we probably, there will be times where we will get disheartened because maybe numbers, for instance, but help us to be patient as more youth start to come on board, because it's not going to happen in a week. We need to be just persistent. So just pray that we'll be persistent and remain, just keep in mind of our why we are doing this on Friday nights, why we are taking this on board, and in wanting to invest, use our time to invest the way we were invested in when we were growing up. So just try to keep in mind what we experienced and how that's impacted us, and how we're still in church all these years later, coming out of youth, and we're still here. It's a reflection on the leadership that was shown to us. So we'd like to just pray for persistence, and that we'll remain just stand firm in what we're doing. So
that's awesome, Julie. That's a really good one. It's really great. Shaun, did she cover all bases? Did she nail it?
Yeah, she did. I guess just praying with moving forward and being able to invest people to have the same heart that we've got, and to take over further in the future.
Yeah.
And just being able to navigate like restarting this ministry during a time of COVID and all those
Yeah.
sorts of things.
Pressures,
And
yep.
just knowing that, we're gonna come out of this bigger and better on the other side. And so just trying to stay positive and just, so I guess, just in keeping us encouraged and
That's right.
yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, the way I want to wrap this up and wrap our service up today is I want to pray for both of you. And I'm going to pray for your ministry, but I'm also going to pray for your marriage. And I'm going to pray for you guys like coming closer and closer and closer. But I also just want to share this. What I'm excited about for you guys is what I got excited about for me is that youth is such an awesome ministry to be a part of, because not only do you get to see you guys as teenagers and stuff, but we get to see you grow up. We get to see you, you get to see them drive for the first time, and I think I drove you around on your L's. So God is gracious and good, and I'm still standing, not without a limp, but I am here. You get your first car, you see them get their first job, you get to see them get married, which is amazing. And I was never more proud than when we were at Culburra Beach and you guys got married. But I have to honestly say, I'm not even that moment of watching you guys get married am I as proud as I am right now of you guys. And just proud of the way you shared so much about what God did through ministries for you in your youth, but what you're going to do. See, our story should always be with the intention of what we're going to do. Your story's not finished yet. I've got to do something. And I'm like genuinely, my heart is like breaking because I'm excited for you guys. That now what I hope to see is that you guys commit. See, because I'm a dad, right? Everyone knows I'm a dad, right? I'm a dad of like 4 beautiful girls, but now I get to see those 4 girls have strong leadership in their lives and exemplify what it is to follow God and to have grit and to stay at it. So I want to thank you guys for that. And I think we could all just thank them for that. They're clapping at home too. They're hitting the love heart button right now. Someone's just going da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So if you're watching online or if you're here today and you want to support these guys, first and foremost, support them with your words. Let them know what a great job they did today. Secondly, support them with your prayers. And thirdly, support them with yourself in terms of if you can offer help in any way. They're still planning stuff and getting things together, so it might be a bit of a slow process. But if you want to be a leader or if you want to help serve to some capacity at Transit on a Friday night, these are the guys to talk to and these are the guys to get involved. Let's not just palm our youth off to them and say, fix our kids. Let's partner with them in raising the next generation for God, because it's not just your job, it's all of us involved together. So I'm super pumped. Can we pray for them? Could we all just stand as we pray for them? God, I thank you so much for Shaun and Julie, and I thank you so much that they have shared such beautiful news with us this morning, that they believe in the next generation and that they want to raise them up, and that, God, I'm so proud of them today. It's actually the proudest moment I've ever had with them, that they would stand on a platform, that would sit on a platform and share what God has done in their lives and how important it was to know that they had a purpose and that they had a reason and that they fitted in somewhere. So God, we thank you for the confusion and we thank you for the hardships and we thank you for sometimes the total unknowns of growing as a teenager. We thank you for those moments because it's enabled them to get here now. And God, we pray that right now that they would invest in the next generation, that they would pour into them and that we would partner with them, not leave them to do it, we would partner with them. And God, I pray for their marriage and I pray for their friendship with one another, that it would just grow from strength to strength to strength, and that they would look to you as their greatest source of joy, their greatest source of need, and that would cause real, genuine love between the two of them. So God, thank you for this time. Thank you for their story, and I pray that their story goes on to impact someone else's story. Amen.